Yes, welcome to the live stream with myself, Kutski. Stressy this week. It's all been going wrong, but how's it going, people? We made it to the live stream. We're live on air. I've messed with the settings on the camera. I look like I've got a healthy glow. I think I overdid the saturation a little bit, didn't I? But yeah, it's better than that pasty pale look. I was looking, thinking I've got really expensive cameras, why does it look so washed out? And I remembered there was settings. So I'm not drinking beer. I'm drinking a nice herbal winter tea that my missus made for me. Is it too early in the week to start drinking? Not when your laptop died and took your entire life out with it. That's what happened to me on Sunday. I was downloading some tracks, kind of like, and just had my laptop in the other room, and then I came back and the screen was black with a folder on the front of it and a question mark. And I've had that before. It means the hard drive in it's died. That's not good news. So I was like, oh no, turned it off, turned it back on again. Seemed okay, booted up, logged it back on. I was like, maybe it's just some weird freak error, something, so I was like, carry on doing what I'm doing, started the downloads again, went off, watched it for a bit, and I was like, it's fine. Came back later, and the laptop had gone to sleep. Pressed the button, the screen was black, but it wouldn't wake up out of sleep. I'm like, this isn't great. Held the off button, turned it off, turned it back on again, booted up, seemed like it was fine. Like maybe it just needs to cool down for a bit, closed it down, left it alone. Then when Miss has gone to bed, later on I was like, I'll try and do like, repairing the permissions and stuff, because it was an Apple laptop. We'll go through, do all the usual stuff and see what the problem is. And then it's like started using it, and after I've been using it for about 10 minutes, just got the beach ball. That's the equivalent of like the egg timer, like it's thinking about something. And the machine didn't seem to have locked up, caps lock's working, counters going, everything. Just thinking, I'm like, this is the hard drive's on its way out. So I'm thinking this isn't good. Rebooted it a couple of times, tried to run repair disk in case it was just a corruption on the drive or something. And as soon as it was trying to repair it, after a couple of minutes, beach ball, nothing else had happened. And I was like, okay, I've got everything backed up to a drive. I was like, I'm gonna have to go like worst case scenario now, format it and start over, and then I'll have to lose a day, like kind of restoring things. So got to formatted it, fine, it's clean, it's blank, reinstall the operating system. Starts reinstalling it halfway through, like, so then kind of when you go to install it, you choose which drive you want to install. Obviously the internal drive starts installing. After a while it comes up with an error, goes couldn't complete the installation, like restart and try again. Restart the computer, go back to the setup process, go to install the thing, and then it comes up and says you can choose which disk you want to install the operating system to. Nothing there now, gone. So yeah, that was, to be fair, I've had the laptop a while. It was in early 2015, so I've had it 4.5 years. So that's good going, considering I travel with it all the time. It's on all day in the studio, do everything with it, video editing, music production, all stuff like that. Been saying for a while I need to get a new one. But I was just like, but this one's still doing me fine, so I'll just keep going until it breaks. Well, it broke. Only the hard drive technically, but where the problem on this lies is that I only have one Mac. Like a lot of people have like a studio machine and then a laptop. If one breaks, you can work on the other while your other one's getting repaired. I've only got the one. That broke. I go away on tour for basically a month on Friday, and I've got a load of stuff to do before it. No access to anything to do any work. So I'm like, well, I have to bite the bullet, go and buy a new laptop. And I was a little bit worried because I thought it's going to cost me an arm and a leg now. And I thought, well, the new 16-inch one's just come out. It's like, I'll get it, treat myself, get that. But I was a little bit worried that I wasn't going to be able to get exactly the one I wanted. And if I'm going to spend that amount of money on something, I want to get exactly the one I wanted. I don't want to compromise if I'm spending crazy money. Luckily, the guys in the Apple shop over here in Warsaw were super cool. They helped me try and get my old laptop working again first. They didn't try and upsell me. You go back home and people are like, yeah, your laptop's broken, you're going to have to buy a new one, like, trying to get sales. And they spent about an hour pissing around with me, trying all the different boot options and stuff, and they came to the same conclusion as me. Dead hard drive on it. So yeah, so they said, oh well, your options are to install, to obviously get it repaired, like or try and make a bootable drive on an external thing, and stuff like that. And then it's like I said, well, to be honest, I've kind of been thinking maybe it's time to be getting a new laptop, and they're like, cool, hook me up at a very expensive price. But hey, Apple tax. So this is only where the problem started, because I'm thinking that time well, because if it had broke 2 months ago, I'd have ended up with the last model of the Mac. So it's like, if it breaks now, I'll get a brand new one. It's only been out a month. But then that's got the new operating system on it, which is never a good thing with Apple. Like, I tend to just never update the operating system, certainly not for at least 6 months until all the apps have caught up. So I thought I'm probably going to have a few problems here. What I didn't realise is this update is kind of a severe major update, is in the fact that it doesn't support 32-bit applications anymore. It's only 64-bit. There's a lot of stuff that's 32-bit. You can't roll back the operating system. So at the moment, I've got a fucking $3,000 powerhouse monster laptop that's just been winding me up all week. I'm slowly chipping away at it to the point that it's like I've got like Ableton on it running, which was, that was going to be okay. Most of the VSTs and plugins and synths and stuff that I use, I've kind of just about got most of it working now. The main thing that I was worried about is they've got rid of iTunes. I use iTunes to organise my music on the computer, which feeds into Rekordbox, the software I use to DJ. And then Apple got rid of iTunes on this latest update. And I'm thinking, I've known about this for a while, and I'm thinking I'll just avoid it. That was another reason why I didn't want to buy a new laptop, because I just didn't want to deal with that headache. And that was a massive headache, but eventually I managed to migrate my iTunes library to now a music library, and Rekordbox have updated it to read the music library as it would of the iTunes one. So that was a pain in the arse to fix. It took me hours and hours and hours, but it did get it working, and I'm kind of happy with the result. I'm not complaining about that. The main killer for me now, once I've gone through it all, I've kind of got it all there. There's two looming things. I backed up, I hadn't backed them up, they were just on the laptop. I had all my emails since 2007 on an offline mail account, and I can't get it off the backup disk. I don't know how to get it. The only way that I could do is to do a full system restore, which I don't want to do on my new machine, and I can't just restore a little bit of it, and a full restore is 700 gig. So I need an Apple laptop with 700 gig free to be able to restore it, just to be able to get it then mail. Not super important, but it's something that ideally it'd be nice not to lose them. And then the absolute killer is the drivers for my sound card with 32-bit. So my sound card just doesn't work on a new laptop yet. And I had a look on the Motu, because it's a Motu sound card that I use, and they've got a note on there saying, we know if you use our sound cards, do not upgrade yet, because it ain't going to work. We're working on an update, we'll let you know when it's out. Now obviously I didn't choose to update. My old laptop died, bought a new one, and it's only got the new operating system on it. That kind of means that it doesn't mean that I can't work on music, it just means I can't hear the music that I'm working on. So basically I'll have to just work off headphones until they update it, and I don't really know a way around that problem. I think the new operating system came out in October, and there's a lot of things that haven't updated to work with it yet. And slowly you're starting to see them popping up going, hey, now we're compatible with the new operating system, it's okay to update. But yeah, obviously Motu haven't got around to doing that yet. It's kind of okay, because I go away this weekend, because I'm in New York this weekend, and then I come back on Monday, and then on Tuesday I leave for the UK, because I'm playing in South Wales, Glasgow, Northern Ireland, all around there over Christmas, and I don't get back to the UK until the 2nd of January, and I try and have a bit of time to chill in the new year, because it's January is always quiet for parties and stuff. So it's not super urgent, but if they could update that in the next month, that'd be really nice, because I can't really work on any new music really at the moment, and I don't know an answer to the problem. So yeah, so that's why if I look a little bit flustered and stressed tonight, that's why I kind of am, because I had a lot of work to do this week, and so far I've lost 2 days and I've not done any work. I've just been trying to get this laptop working again. Literally just before I do this show, it's my poor girlfriend's sat there, and I'm on the sofa with her with my laptop, just trying to make plugins work and installing a plugin. Instead of installing the plugin, which is a pain, installing your license key, done, onto the next one. With it, it's okay, why isn't it working? Okay, go into the settings, authorize this. No, that won't do, because there's all security sign-in signatures and stuff that nothing's been updated with yet. So it's been this just everlasting battle to just keep trying to get it to work. And any 32-bit applications ain't working anymore. Oh, and that one, I'm not joking about this, but it's this was kind of a moment of realization, is I use a program called Yummy FTP. It's an FTP client. That's what I use to upload the podcast every week. And it's I went online to look at it, tried to install it, and it goes, no, it's only a 32-bit application. I'm like, that's bullshit. And I go to the website, all the websites down, the domains run out and stuff. And I'm thinking, I paid money for this. and it's like, and it doesn't work, and I was kind of annoyed by it. So I went to get FileZilla, tried to log in with the same details, and it wouldn't work. And it kind of pissed me off. So I was looking why that Yummy FTP hadn't been updated, and then I read that it was made by one guy, and he'd suddenly died earlier in the year, and that was kind of like a reality check that I'm freaking out and pissed off, going, oh my god, my world's going to collapse if I can't upload my podcast this week. And I'm like, and I paid money for that application, that guy should support it. And I found out, he had sudden death, and that kind of put everything into perspective a little bit, really, doesn't it? There's bigger, more important problems in the world than me and my music. So anyway, we're not going to have a vinyl mix tonight because my laptop is in the process of being set up. So, and I don't even know whether it works. I wasn't going to rely on it working, but I did a quick little test before, plugged it all in. The most complicated part, I was like, that's never going to work. Plugged it straight in, worked fine. But I'm not chancing it tonight. We're doing a vinyl mix. Old school hard house is what we're going for. So, yeah, so I'm going to be jumping in the mix in 4 minutes. And then at the end of it, I'll jump on and we'll have a bit more interactive chat. But I know people kind of like the rants at the beginning, what's going on in my world, a little peek behind the scene. And one thing that I did want to say is, like, obviously people that have picked up the digital bundle download of the old Radio 1 shows, and then people have been subscribing on the channel. I know I always say, this money, it gets reinvested back into what I do here on the show. And, thanks, it's like I spend way more than I bring in on it, but what you give in really does help. And it sounds like I'm giving that kind of like bullshit, like, hey, you can't understand the support, you guys, thank you so much and all that. Just to show how much it does mean is because I've got like all different stuff, like you can see in the background there, that's my really good microphone, the Rode NT2. That goes into the sound card, which then goes into my laptop, and that's how I record the Keeping the Rave Alive show. I just told you that the sound card no longer works with a new laptop, and it isn't going to work until they update it, and I don't know how long that's going to be. And then all of a sudden it dawned on me, it's like, I can't record the podcast. And then I remembered, as part of the Twitch setup, I've got this Rode, that's a Rode NT2, studio mic there. And this one that I've got here, as you can see, is a really, really good one. It's like the USB version. It's a little bit lower quality, but not really noticeable. But it's a USB version that's got a sound card built into it. So that's how I do in the podcast with it. And then I had that moment that I was like, oh wow, I wonder if I can just plug that into the laptop, and if the laptop will see it without any drivers, stuff like that. Plug it in, works perfect in Ableton on the laptop. So all of this stuff that I've been doing has led me to getting this equipment, which is being funded for by what you guys are giving on the thing, which means that when I had this catastrophe that's meant I've had to mortgage my soul to buy a new laptop, and still I can't do the show, and then everything that we built here together means that I can carry on doing the radio show now, because I've got it all to work. It's not even a case of I can't buy my way out of the problem that I've got at the moment. And the fact that I wouldn't have even thought to go about it this way, but the fact that I've got all these little gadgets and all this equipment and stuff around it means that everything can kind of be repurposed into different ways. So that's my kind of heartfelt thank you for that, because I did have that moment where I was like, sound card's not working, it's not great, eventually they'll patch it, I'm not doing a lot of production at the moment, I can just work on stuff on my laptop with headphones, it's all good, no big problems, kind of like on this. And then I was like, oh no, the podcast. And it's like, and just after I've done 400 episodes and everyone's giving me a pat on the back and bigging me up, going, never missed a week in 400 episodes and stuff like this, and I'm thinking, this couldn't, I was like, yeah, I'm not going to lie, it's like I wouldn't go as far as to say I've had sleepless nights, but I've had nights, just waking up with that ball of anxiety and thinking of other problems that you haven't conceived. And I know, like I said, I just found out about a guy that made one of the applications just randomly died. So how small are my problems compared to it? But you know how seriously I take this shit. The fact that how long have I been doing this show, and I do it every time I'm at home. No excuses, whether I'm ill, whether I'm jet lagged, whether I'm tired. It's like whether my work world is falling apart around me and I'm trying to piece it all together. No excuses. I do take it very seriously. So it's like, so thank you. It does mean a lot. And for that, it's like, that is why we're going to have a celebratory unwind for a little bit mix of classic hard house this week, which actually is the first genre of music that I really started playing out in clubs, because I never got booked in the happy hardcore era. I was too young, and there was a lot of closed doors in the hardcore scene, if we're open and honest here. But yeah, then I got my foot in the door with hard house, and I was getting a lot of bookings in there. So a lot of these records were the first records that I was ever playing out in clubs, places like Sunday Central and Time in Bangor, or Elevate. really around North Wales and Yorkshire was where, kind of Harleyville and Bradford and stuff like that. This was the type of music that I was playing. So I'm going to dig back through them vinyls and we're going to go old school. No drivers, no 64-bit, no 32-bit problems on this. We're going old school, needles on records. Let's do it.
In this silence, in this silence. Fantasy. Injected with a poison. Injected with a poison. Injected with a poison.
We don't need that anymore.
Yes, so there we go. Bit of vinyl in the mix. No 32-bit errors with that, was there? Just needles and records. I like it. Yeah, so what do you think of Hard House like that? Because we don't really discuss it much, do we? Because obviously it's like, because I played, like just, you know, my journey through music, you know, I listened to a lot of early rave stuff just as a kid. Then in the 90s when I was a teenager, I got into happy hardcore. That's what I started DJing with at home, and then around the late 90s, I think hardcore started getting a little bit stale, especially around the 2000s, early 2000s. It's getting a bit stale. I don't even know how long it felt like at least a 6-month period of me kind of going, I'll start looking a little bit wider and see. And I actually listened to a lot of garage stuff as well, and I didn't know whether I was going to go in that direction, and I could have gone, but it's like I'd listened to a lot of the stuff, you know, with the big heavy bass lines, because it was very old school sounding. I was thinking, well, if hardcore doesn't evolve and move on, and I'm looking for new music, it's like, you know, I was like thinking, well, what else could I go to? It's like, you know, I like drum and bass, but it's like it, you know, didn't really hit me as where I was going to go. And then I was listening to a lot of garage, like even that, like, you know, like Decline and stuff like that, and Bass Lick and stuff with the big bass lines and the pianos and the vocals, and it was very, very housey, like, you know, early like 90s house and like ravey sort of stuff. And I was like, but then I looked at the scene and this sounds really fickle. But I mean it in like, you know, kind of in a like the opposite of this ways. Like I looked at the people in it and it's like, I can't hang with those guys. There was all these like, you know, cool sexy women dancing and stuff like this, and, you know, cool ripped guys that club, and I was like, I'm a little nerdy guy, that's not gonna work. And then I kind of found Hard House. I really liked Hard House. I loved it, like, you know, because it had all the energy that I loved about hardcore, but, you know, kind of, it was just this new, fresh, exciting sound. There was all this new music. When I got into hardcore, it was on the boom of hardcore around 95, 96, when it was really blowing up and it was exciting. It's by like 2000, it was like, it didn't have that same buzz. There was no new Field of Dreams, there was no new Shooting Star coming out, and I was like, and I looked over at, you know, Hard House, and there was Gridlock 3000, fantastic thing, Cortina, Music is Moon thing. Obviously some of these were like 98 era, and that's when I was, you know, really started first listening to the music of like what Billy Bunter was playing, but I thought he was playing techno, but that was what was Hard House, and then I started getting more into that, and then as I started making mixes of that, sending it out, I started getting bookings then in the Hard House scene. And then Hard House kind of got like, from my perspective, because I played a lot in the Hard House scene, but then it's like I got sick of people playing Heaven's Cry Till Tears Do Us Part. I got sick of hearing Tony DeVee in every set, you know, kind of, I wanted new music. So then I started looking for, like, you know, I'd discovered like the Scott Project sound of the, you know, German hard trance stuff. And I started playing a lot more of that in my sets, and what, like, you know, and I thought it was like hard trance stuff, but without the euphoric breakdowns and it like harder drops, and that was actually what early hardstyle was that I didn't know, again, genre names at the time. So I started playing a lot of hard trance and early hardstyle in my sets, like around 2003, 2004, and then that was kind of like when the Hard House scene really still wanted to hear those big Hard House tunes. And, you know, and like there was one point that I can't remember, it was in Birmingham, and I played a club, and it's like a guy before me is just playing all the Hard House anthems, stuff like that, and it's like, and I'm like, okay, cool. Then I go on and just like not even thinking, I just play all my new music, Uberdruck and stuff like that, and it just emptied the room, cleared the room completely. And I was like, oh no. I thought, or maybe something happened and people have left or whatever, or it's getting late in the night. And then when I left, I went past room 2, and I saw room 2 was absolutely rammed. So basically I was playing like new exciting music that I've always been about, like trying to push this new music. And then I just realised, I was like, this isn't going to wash in the Hard House scene. It's like people want old Hard House and they want to hear them classics. And it's like, and I'm like, you know, one of the headliners in the main room, and I've just cleared it, and everybody's got a room 2 to listen to them saying classics again. So that was at the point that it was kind of like, it was a really depressing gig for me, because it was just that realisation that I was like, the music I'm playing people don't want to hear. But then as things like, you know, progressed in, that was in Leeds, where Hard House, you know, up in the north of England, where like Hard House was so big, it was huge, and it was just, and Birmingham as well. Obviously I said that gig was in Birmingham, but this was happening at gigs in Leeds as well. But luckily I was playing in North Wales a lot as well, and North Wales was kind of moving with that, you know, early hardstyle, hard trance sound. So I was thinking, there's pockets, there's areas where I'm going to grow, and there's areas where I'm going to probably not get booked so much, because people are going to think we paid money and nobody really wanted to hear what he had to play. So it's like, so at that point, when I was like playing to more what people wanted, like, you know, people that wanted hard trance and hardstyle and hardcore, and like, you know, because of that Millennium core, I was playing a lot of that at the end of my sets, because I was going from hard trance to early hardstyle to that like 155, 160 BPM hardcore at the end. And obviously the people that were wanting to listen to that music didn't really want to listen to hard house either. So like I had the hard house lot that didn't want to hear the music that I was experimenting with and I was really excited by, and then the places where I could play the music that excited me didn't want to hear the hard house stuff. So I kind of, at that point, it was kind of, I'd moved on from hard house, but I've still got a real, you know, like tender spot for listening to all of those types of music and stuff. And it's like, yeah, it's just interesting how, you know, kind of like music works with it. Whereas it's like I always managed to keep like the happy hardcore thing. People still always wanted to hear it. Yet when I've moved into other scenes, like when I was, like I said, you know, you couldn't go to a hard, and because then by like 2005, 2006, I'm getting booked at like DEF CON and stuff like that. And then you couldn't go out there and play hard house because people didn't want to hear it, because hard house was really big in Holland in the 2000s, like Tom Harding, people like that, really big out there. And even like, you know, Zani said that he was listening to a lot of early hard house, but then they'd created the early hardstyle sound as the evolution of it. So then that got left behind. Then when they heard hard house, they were like, oh, that's that old school music from like 5 years ago. So it was kind of like, so it didn't wash out there in Holland. So it's really interesting that, you know, like how it works with different things, but it feels like it was a big chapter of my career, but it was really quite isolated. As in, until I discovered hard house, I wasn't playing anything of it, I wasn't listening to anything of it. Then I fell in love with it for like, say, maybe 4 or 5 years. I'd say from 98 to 2003, it's like I loved hard house. And then when I'd kind of like found more exciting stuff and I'd like moved on from it, it's kind of like it was just that one fixed chapter. So yeah, I mean, even now, like a lot of people say to me, like, why don't you play hard house on the show? And it's like, well, I do play it as the final vinyl sometimes, but like, what new hard house is there? It's like, you know, even the like some stuff that was getting sent, I don't mean to be like, you know, disrespectful, but a lot of stuff that was coming through, it sounded like the old stuff, but there weren't the iconic anthems anymore. It was just like regurgitating, trying to copy what had gone in the past. Like, you know, me, I've always been excited by new music, so it's kind of, it's like that era for me, 98 to 2003. It's like I still absolutely love that, but because I don't really talk about it much and don't really play it in any of my sets when I'm playing out and stuff, it's kind of, yeah. So I thought it'd be a nice little throwback tonight, especially as we're doing vinyl only, because a lot of them I haven't got digitally. See, Bunnywalk says too much electro flavour in it nowadays. I don't even know. I don't know. Like, I know, like, the only people I know, obviously I know Amadeus Mozart, like Amo from the Tidy Boys, and it's like, you know, I know him on a, you know, a personal level, you know, when I see him at gigs and stuff like that, and I know he's still pushing on with the Tidy thing, but then they are really selling that as like, you know, kind of a reunion brand, and like the old school thing, because obviously Tidy's so iconic from that period, but I'm not getting any new music from anybody. And then I'm good friends with Sam Townend as well, who obviously used to work at Tidy, and I know he's doing stuff with the Tough London stuff these days, and I see he's still playing hard house gigs, but you know, he doesn't send me any new hard house music. I know he's actually, it might be an idea to hit Sam up to get a guess, because I know he's done like 15 or 20 years of his career, and he's doing an album, like, you know, with all his classic remixes and all his old tracks and stuff like that. So maybe it'd be worth getting him in on the guest mix for the show, because we don't have any hard house on there, and it's not through me kind of going, I don't want hard house on the show. Like, we had Andy Whitby on, but would you call Andy Whitby hard house now? I don't know, to be honest. Is that, like, you know, because I love what Andy did, because it's like I said, the scene got so kind of like stagnant, and Andy always like really liked the bouncy stuff, you know, with like the donkey bass lines and stuff like that. So he kind of like picked up the ball and ran with that. So his sound now, it's somewhere between hard house, EDM, and like the Scouse House bounce scene. It's somewhere between there. So I don't know, is that what the evolution of hard house is, or has Andy just carved his own sound? Yeah, but genre lines do get blurry, and I don't think it's worth getting too twisted about it either. Like, no, I think it's fun. It's like, you know, genres have never been more open. Like I said, you know, back in the day, you couldn't go to a hard house club and play hard trance, or certainly not hardstyle. You couldn't go to a hardstyle club and play hard house. It was, you know, kind of, it was a bit weird if you were playing, you know, you couldn't play. Nobody really played hardcore. Whereas now you go to a hardstyle DJ, everyone's finishing their sets with GPF now. It's like, it's just this open format, like you can play whatever you want, and it's more open, so you don't have to worry about genre lines so much. One Ox saying Brisk mentioned that he had some new Stimulant DJs stuff coming. I'd love to hear some new Stimulant DJs music. But I mean, what even is that at these days? I'll have to hit Paul up and ask him if he's wanting to do it, because is he just going to start trying to remake Hard House, like pick up where they left off, like, you know, another Hoover Time, like in that style? Or is it like a completely new? Or I don't want to hear somebody going back to the well and making that old sound again. Like Stimulant DJs, obviously, was Brisk and Ham. They came over from the hardcore scene. They were excited by what was going on with Hard House, and then they started producing music under the Stimulant DJs, and they had like an ethos and a sound that they were about. I want to hear what they come up with now, not copying that, not trying to go, okay, here's a new old style Stimulant DJs track. I want to hear a 128 BPM EDM track. Not saying I want them to make an EDM track. I want to hear what their take on modern dance music is. That'd be exciting. I'll have to hit up Brisk now and see what he's saying about it. Chaos Raver saying, is Vinyl Groover not Hard House now? Well, no, that's the thing, is because Vinyl Groover moved on to be Scott Attrill as Hard House, and he was really big doing the Scott Attrill stuff for many, many years. But then that's kind of dried up now. Whenever I see Scott, he's playing Vinyl Groover sets now, like, you know, back to doing the happy hardcore thing. Yeah, we need to get Brisk on to do a KTRA set. I did ask him recently when he... when was I speaking? This is the problem, is because I speak to so many people all the time. It's like, you know, if people don't remind me to pick up on things. Last time I spoke to Paul Brisk, he'd just done the Airhead remix, and I said, if you've got anything to promote, man, let me know, do a guest mix on the Keeping the Rave Alive show. And he was like, yeah, the Airhead mix has already come out, so there's no time pressure with that, but, you know, maybe I can do something in the future. So I was like, yeah, 100%. And then, you know, it is then, both busy lives and stuff like that, and it's like never really got any further than that with the conversation. But yeah, obviously it's like Brisk was one of the DJs that I grew up idolising, you know, kind of like, you know, like he's still one of the best mixers in the game. Used to always, whenever I got a tape pack when I was little, like, you know, it was the Brisk tape I went to straight away. So if Brisk ever wants to come on the show, that's an open door policy, it goes without saying. Okay, so Brisk posted in October something on his Instagram about Stimulant DJs. That'd be fascinating. I really want to hear that. It's the same as, like, I kind of want to hear a new Force and Styles record, because is that them making a track like the classic Force and Styles stuff, or is that them making something in the modern, like, you know, more like what Darren's doing now? Interesting. But then, like, after me saying that, I want to hear what people bring forward. I want them to go, okay, this is what we did before, but this is what we're doing now. This is our modern day interpretation of it. But it's like Bioweapon. Obviously, when Sam and Corey first came through and did the Bioweapon thing, it was like, you know, kind of around the, like, 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014. That was the sound, like, you know, and they had that sound. And then they went off and did their own separate things as Code Black and Audio Freak. Then when they got back together and started doing the Bioweapon, their sound very much leaned back to the previous sound, and I liked it in that scenario. I thought it was brilliant, because obviously it's like, you know, Corey was writing these big, you know, euphoric modern hardstyle anthems, and Sam was like, you know, writing these off the wall, can't predict the genre, crazy stuff as Audio Freak. And it's like, so what does Bioweapon do? Like, you know, kind of if it's just going to be more modern hardstyle. So I wanted that old school, energetic kick and bass, pitch chopped vocals. I wanted that goodness back out of them, because they're both doing their own thing anyway with modern hardstyle. So in that case, I really liked it. So I'm contradicting myself now. Okay, timer is nearly up. I'm going back to carry on setting up my wonderful laptop that cost me $4,500. Well, it cost me $3,000, $2,500. But then with all the dongles and everything, you've got to get plugged in, because everything's USB-C now. So you've got to get all these adapters and plugs and stuff like that. So it ended up costing me $3,000 to get a new laptop, which is obviously, that's my studio as well. And, you know, it's what I do all the video editing, all my everything on. It doesn't work. The because it's only 64-bit and all the other software hasn't caught up with it yet. So literally my old computer couldn't have broken at a worse time, because if it had broken in 3 months' time, the software's going to have caught up by then, but I just need to find a way to get through it. And so even when I was in the mix there, you might have noticed these deep in thought things, and I'm thinking to myself, the sound card doesn't work because it's 32-bit drivers. You plug it in, it doesn't even see it. So I'm thinking, how can I get around this? And I'm thinking, but it does take power from the USB because it turned on okay. So, and I bought bloody a dongle, another 50 quid dongle to plug it into USB-C, because it was it's a really old sound card, but I love it and I've got no reason to change it. But it's a Firewire 400. So then when Firewire 800 came out, I had to buy a cable that was 400 at one end, 800 at the other. When I got my last laptop, that didn't have Firewire on it, it had Thunderbolt. So I had to get a dongle to go Firewire 800 to Thunderbolt. And now this is USB-C. I've got to get, I bought another £50 dongle to go from Thunderbolt to USB-C. So now it's going 400 to 800, 800 to Thunderbolt to USB-C. So I'm kind of thinking, is the signal even going to survive it at that point? But to be fair, I thought that when I went to when I used the dongle for the sound card last time, and it's been absolutely perfect. So I think maybe there's a reason why those dongles are expensive. They're doing some voodoo in there that does really work. So now I'm just in the position where I don't know whether I've spent 50 quid on a dongle, and that's the reason why it's not working. So I'm just going to have to get a new sound card. But obviously by the time they update the drivers on the sound card for me to find out, I can't take it back then, can I? And then it's useless to me. So yeah, I'm trying to think of ways that I can work with that. So I'm thinking, well, it takes power okay from USB-C. So then I'm thinking what I'll do is go out of the headphone out on my Mac Pro, the new one, and go onto one of the inputs on the sound card and just use it as an analog sound card. So basically it's not using the sound card, my laptop is just an input going into the sound card, which will then play out on the speakers. Then I can kind of produce, it's a hooky way around the problem. And these are the things that, like, literally for the last 2 days, I had a headache for the last 2 days because it's just, I can't switch off. My brain just feels like it's just cramped in a knot of trying to think of solutions, because the sound card is just one of many problems I'm having at the moment. So if you hadn't guessed, with me random rambling and ranting, I'm a little bit stressed this week because I go to New York at the weekend as well, which sounds really cool, and it is that I get to play out there. But I fly out on Saturday, land Saturday evening, play Saturday evening, come home Sunday, get back Monday, have to repack Monday, Tuesday fly back to the UK for kind of like the Christmas gigs. And then over all that time I need to be recording podcasts and having the output and content, and then sorting my music for gigs. So that's why I need to get this laptop up and running. It's not an option for it to not happen. So yeah, at the moment. So I'm off to go and sort all of that. Sorry the stream's been a little bit short, to a full 20 minutes short, but hope you can appreciate the reason. And we're still here, we don't miss. And yeah, remember when I edited a load of the Twitch sessions, these podcasts, and I put them up on the podcast feed, all the ones that I'd organised, and I'd done it, so I'd got like 20 of them sorted, one a week was going up for ages, and it was just all happening in the background. That finished last week just as the laptops crashed. So that is on my list of things to do. I'm going to take a load of mixes over, I'm going to edit, and fingers crossed I'll be able to, that should all work. I think that should all just work. So that's the plan. So there might be a couple of weeks where nothing's going up on that feed. Let me just give you some shouts out. Sorry, I've just been ranting for the whole time. Everybody in the chat, shout out to Bold and Brash for asking if I use Fruity Loops. No, I use Ableton Live actually, but I know a lot of people that use FL really like it. Shout out Chaos Raver, shout out Freaky Boy, a little bit late but you're here. How you all doing? I'm just about to leave, mate, I'm sorry, but yeah, you can watch the show back afterwards, can't you? Skobnov saying, was it just a bad hard disk and just replace it and reinstall it, temporary solution? Yeah, it is just, but the problem is it's one of those Mac Pros, that's really hard to get into, and it uses an SSD and it's not a standard SSD. So it'd be easy if I could just get in there and replace it, but I've got to send it off to get the hard drive in it replaced. And I haven't got, and then if I did that and I got it back and it was fully working, I could just do a restore from the Time Machine backup. But the problem is I haven't got time to send it away and then get it back then restore the backup, and then do the work that I need to do before I leave. So this is why I am going to get that other laptop repaired, and then say this new fancy one that I bought, say the hard drive in that crashes, I can send that away to get it repaired, and I've still got my old one to work on, where I know I've been, like, for the last 3-4 years since I got rid of my old Mac Pro, like, because that just died a death because it was super old. But it's like, yeah, I've not had a separate machine to work on, and especially I had like an old iMac and stuff like that was just functional for something, for very basics. But I sold all of that before I moved out to Poland. So I've literally, the only working Mac that I've got is my Mac Pro that was my studio and my everything. So I'm pretty much backed up, so I haven't lost anything too much, but it was just as soon as it went, I was like, you're gonna have to just go to the Apple store tomorrow and buy a new one, and then get this old one fixed and then restored back to where it was, and then if anything happens, I've always got that backup, I've got that leeway, which I haven't got at the moment. So this is what I get for not buying a new laptop sooner, because I kept saying, yeah, I've had this a long time and I could justify buying one, but I can't, it's like the one that I've got's fine, so I can't really justify it. I was like, I'll just wait until it breaks, and then it broke, and then now I'm in this predicament. So yeah, all good. Who else have we got? Jay Walking Penguin, shout out to Chaos Raver, Freaky Boy, sorry, shout out to Skobnoff, Flintster, Speedy B, Del Boy, shout out to producer Torbs, all the usual crew in the house. Shout out to Eclipse. Yeah, shout out to Buddha's World. Thank you for the subscription. Thanks for everybody who came in with the subscriptions on this. And if you want to grab that link, that digital bundle, I'll post the link again now. And you can slowly help me put together some money that paid for that horrifically expensive laptop. So yeah, no, thank you. Thanks for all the subscriptions and everything and all the support as always. Keeping the Rave Alive show will be Callum Higby this week. Callum's going to send me the mix over tomorrow, which as well has got me a little bit nervous. So I've got to do, do the radio show tomorrow, edit it, get it up all online Thursday night. Friday is my day to get packed and get organised for the month away. Saturday I leave. So yeah, there we go. So I will be. No, I won't be. There won't be a show next week. This thing, I'm afraid, because I go. What have I got going on? I'm running this out. Yeah. So Monday I get back from New York. Tuesday I fly back to the UK, and I'm in the air when I'm supposed to be streaming. Tuesday is also my mum's birthday. That's why I was flying back before the weekend. So we're going out for dinner on Wednesday. That writes off Wednesday. Thursday, I need to go Christmas shopping with my mates. Friday, I'm in Swansea. Saturday, I'm in Swansea. And then it's on to the next one. So I won't be on next week, but I'll be on the Tuesday after that. So, yeah, but the Keeping the Rave Alive show is all going to keep going, as always. You can listen. The easiest way to follow all of this madness that's just spilling out of my mouth now, follow me on Instagram, and kind of the stories will make sense as it's going. So KUTSKI on there. Apologies for the random ramblings and stuff tonight, but it's been fun, sort of, hasn't it? So I will catch you back on the show in 2 weeks' time, streaming from my parents' bedroom, but I'll have a mix sorted for you. So it's all good. Cool. Anyway, peace out. I'll let you have the rest of the evening to yourself. Enjoy.